Welcome to Johnson Brothers. This is a special episode we're doing for you guys today. Just with some of the things that have been going on in the world, there's, we believe, some significance to what the Bible talks about and with the end times. And we'll talk about more of what we're going to be talking about today as we go into it. But we felt that there was enough biblical significance to what's going on and the special events going on around the world that we wanted to get together and have a special episode to talk about it. So that's what we're going to be doing for you guys today. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. And hopefully we bring some clarity to some of the things going on. We want to do this in the future as well for any other special events going on. So if you guys, if there's something going on in the world, a major event that you think, hey, I think this would be worth talking about, comment, email us, just reach out to us. We want to hear from you, and we want to talk about the things, again, that you guys think are interesting. And hopefully you've been commenting on some of the other videos we have coming out on our series we're going to be doing normally, keeping it controversial. So please comment on those videos, like those videos, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to keep bringing you guys some more good content on those things. Hopefully you're enjoying that series. But like I said, today's a special episode. And with the special episode and with the special things we're going to be talking about, we also have a very special guest. And we would like to go ahead and reveal who that guest is right now. It is none other than our dad.
Sean Johnston.
Our dad.
Sean Johnston. I said my dad, but then I'm like, it's our dad.
Daddy.
This is our daddy, not just mine. So, Dad, welcome on the show. You have some things to share with us today, I'm hoping, right?
Sure. I'm not sure how I got roped in this, but I'm thinking I'm most of your dads, but who knows? Some days I wonder. So, poor mom. Oh my gosh. Never know. A lot of things going on in the Middle East. I think that a lot of things that they've already talked about in previous weeks really can really have led to where we're at. I know they've talked about replacement theology in Israel, and there's a lot of people out there that think that Israel is no longer God's chosen people, and they're fools because they just don't believe the book. There's a lot of people that really don't have a final authority in their lives, being the Bible. It's the Bible that we get our final authority from, and sometimes you talk with authority from that. If you give the Bible benefit of the doubt, it will never lead you wrong. Specifically, the 1611 King James Bible. God's preserved His Word. If you look at the missions that have done through church history, most of the missions were done from that Bible by far, from 300-400 year period. You can look at the church ages and churches. I know they've mentioned this in previous episodes that we've lived through different church time periods. Right now we're in the Laodicean church age, the last church where Jesus has some specific challenges and some specific rebukes of that church. You can really literally trace that back in history, and it's hard to for a long time, I think it was hard to find a lot of these things, but you hear a revised history a lot of times. And I know that term's thrown out there about revision history, and people do that right now, especially in the media and the news and a lot of the podcast garbage that's out there. I'm not a big fan of technology and all this, but if it gets the word out and works, then I'm all for anything like that, because that's what God's given us to use right now. And I think that there's a generation of young people that are going to be zealous, like Revelation calls for. And that's what we need. I'm an old guy. I'm kind of had my time, and I'm, that part of my life where I look back now, I see what God's done in my life, and He's done incredible things, and things that I would have never imagined. Would just start off with me and my wife when we got married, pretty young. I wound up having 4 sons, which I never even imagined would happen. And as I said, I think they're all mine, but 4 of them came along, and sure enough, they've grown to do things like this. It's been put on their heart to do this. But if you go back to really the 1880s, I think you can come to some specific things that happen in events where God starts to move. We're still in the Laodicean church period, and we're still the bride of Christ. But God's going back to dealing with His wife, Israel. Israel's always been His wife. They're called the wife of God all through the Old Testament. These are key words you need to look for in your Bible. The bride of Jesus Christ is the church. When you see wife, it's the wife of God. That's Israel. And God's not done with Israel. Matter of fact, the Bible specifically makes mention of them becoming a nation one day again, and everyone thought that was impossible. You go back to early 1880s, the Revised Version comes out. A lot of churches adopted that, kind of dumped the King James Bible. You start getting a watered down view of things. You start getting messed up on baptism and doctrines and the charismatic movement and tongues and healing and those kind of things. And you get these really cult religions that come out, quite frankly. I don't know what else to call them. That's what they are. I think that the Roman Catholic churches use that to kind of unite people behind one basic belief. You used to have a separation between what you called a Roman Catholic and what you called a Christian. And today you don't have that today. They're called the same thing, and they are not, unless you consider Revelation 17 and 18, the mother of all harlots, which describes the Roman Catholic Church to a T, unless you consider them Christian, which I don't think God does according to his word, not me. I'm not an expert. I just believe the book. So if you're getting mad, it's not at me, it's at the book and what it says. And I don't have a problem. I'm not very smart, but I can read and understand basic English. Excuse me. You move from that time period, that same decade, you have a guy named Theodore Herzl that writes a book. It's called The Jewish State, and it was the first mention of Israel becoming a nation again. The Zionist movement begins the same time period as when this last church starts to dump the King James Bible and move on to really watered down versions of the Bible that I don't even know how many hundreds of them are out there now, but they don't say the same thing. So they all can't be right.
Let's pause right there also, because that was an introduction. Okay, so I think you guys are getting a little feel for what we're going to be getting into today with our dad here.
That was Luke's nice way of saying shut up.
No, actually, that was my way of saying the introduction I was hoping maybe for is he is an American history teacher as well, so that he does have a lot of history and a lot of notes and things in front of him that he's going to be using today, and so that's the kind of where you're getting some of the heavy history that he's sharing and that he's going to share. That's his background and what he teaches. He's been teaching that how long now?
Long time.
A long time.
Almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years. So that's kind of where he's going to be coming from today. And we'll be seeing that as we get into it even more. So
yeah, I think it's so important to also know that history, because we only have the history in the Bible of Israel up until around 70, you say the latest 80, if you can count Revelation, and obviously Revelation looks forward and we have prophecy that looks forward on Israel. But since 70, 80 to today, like we don't have, just the Bible doesn't really account for the direct historical facts of Israel, of the nations that exist, like that he's going to get into today. And they are really important now because they start to show that the prophecies are coming true, that we're going to kind of talk about, I think, today a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
It's actually absolutely incredible. It's not boring history. If you think history is boring, then you don't know the history God wants you to know.
So I think, and the big reason we wanted to do this episode is because of the war that broke out with Iran.
Is it a war, though?
I mean, it is.
I think it's just a slaughtering right now.
It is a slaughtering. But between Iran and Israel and now Lebanon, southern Lebanon, specifically Hezbollah, and the U.S., who is backing Israel.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, this is crazy. I mean, if you guys watch the news, I know I've been watching, I'm not a big news guy, but lately every night I've been turning it on to see what's going on. This stuff is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like prophecy level stuff.
Now, yeah, to be clear, none of us think that this is anything specifically laid out prophecy-wise in the scripture. And now I think some of us would, we all know where we're coming from.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at passages that make it extremely clear that in the end times, Israel is a nation. It's assumed they're a nation, and they are surrounded by war and hatred
and
all around them. And so in that sense, there's a heavy prophetic application there.
Yep.
And even further, and maybe this is going to surprise you, America is involved in that. America is supporting Israel in that time, headed by a certain man named the Antichrist, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And we could prove that from the Bible, and we're going to talk about some of that today as well.
It's interesting you said that, because I've actually heard people on the news and multiple channels. I don't just watch one or two. But there is a cry of people, even in Iran, in this new government, they might want to stop that. They actually don't want to be called Iran anymore. They want to go back to their original name, which is
Persia.
And it's the same Persia of the Bible. Iraq, Iran, it's the land of Persia and Babylon.
Yeah.
We're talking about specific places that are going to come to fruition again. And in particular in reference to Israel. And one of the things as we go through some of the history, and I'm not going to give, I know they think it'll be long, but it's not going to be that long. I'm going to make it pretty quick, but it's really incredible how God has worked these things from the late 1880s, just to put it in the heart of of Jewish people, that they wanted their own homeland again. Because for a long time they didn't, and there was nothing talked about. As a matter of fact, they're being persecuted throughout the world and throughout history, particularly in the 1880s in Russia. And these pogroms happened where they were just being killed and beaten and treated rather terribly. And quite frankly, if you look at how Russia turned out, Russia was overthrown a few years later in the 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution. Excuse me, 19 was before that. But that time period, Russia's overthrown by the Bolsheviks, who then established communism. God doesn't like people messing with his country's messing with his people.
Oh yeah.
100%. Every nation that's ever messed with them, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
They're gone. They don't exist anymore.
Babylon used to be a beautiful place. One of the wonders of the world was the gardens of Babylon, and all sorts of beauty and commerce and people there. And when you think of Iraq, which is modern day Babylon, what do you think of?
Desert,
dust, nothingness. It's a wasteland. And so
Egypt
are
was the
many
same way.
others.
Egypt was the same way.
So is Germany after World War II, all through history.
Incredible that area was controlled by the Ottoman Empire, which today would be what's left of that is modern day Turkey. None of those countries. So you go into that time period, and again, I'll leading up to what you just said. You go in that time period where God starts putting in the heart of these Jews to go get a homeland, and really they don't go back. And World War I happens, and prior to World War I don't know if you know this, but I have these countries here, one of my 10,000 sheets, but they didn't exist. These countries that surround Israel today, they didn't exist. Anytime God moves in history, Satan counters it. And when the devil saw that it was in the hearts of the Jew to go back to a homeland, and he saw God moving toward dealing with the Jew again, he started putting his countries in place.
Are you talking about the church?
I'm not talking about the church at all. I'm talking about.
Well, you said the Jew.
Countries.
I just was wondering if you meant the church. A lot of people think that's what that means.
No, the Jew would be Israel.
Thanks.
And modern Israel. The Jews, they were still Jews, and they were scattered through the world. If you don't think that, then you are not seeing an accurate view of history, nor, I mean, quite frankly, it's just ignorance. You can find these things out. None of these countries existed. I can give you the years that they came about. I have them written down here, actually. But Iran,
if you want to look for them,
Iran came 1935, officially becomes
there you go.
A nation, in 79, but they formed in 1935. Iraq, 1932. Jordan, 46. Transjordan, 1925. Syria, 1946. Egypt, 1922.
Transjordan has a different meaning today.
Definitely has a new meaning today. That's for sure.
Jordan's kind of like a dual name, too.
Lebanon, 43. Saudi Arabia, 32. Libya, 51. Before World War I, none of those countries existed. After World War I, I don't know what you know about history, but the Balfour Declaration was passed. England was in control. England had conquered that whole territory. They were huge. That's why God was using them. It's amazing to see how God has used England historically to preserve his word and even to restore Israel again. But the Jews didn't go back home. And there's often been a thing said through history that World War I prepared the land for the Jew, and World War II prepared the Jew for the land, because the Jews weren't going home. And England kind of reneged on that a little bit, but they didn't go home in big numbers until after the Holocaust, and they realized how bad they were hated in the world, and they wanted their own homeland. Other than Israel, which there are 7.1 million Jews in Israel, 16 million, let's do it this way, 16.1 million roughly Jews in the world today. 7.1 million of those live in Israel. 6 million live in the United States. If you want to know why God has blessed the United States through all the leaving of the word, and yes, we've had missions work and all that stuff, but that time has kind of passed. We're not that same country anymore. We've definitely changed our way.
We've replaced the missionaries with homosexuals.
That's for sure. I mean, we don't even know what marriage is anymore. We don't.
We should be called Trans America.
Trans.
What is
Oh boy, that's a comment I probably would have made too. So, anyways, we have replaced all that stuff, and God has still preserved us. And I believe strongly that's because of our support for the nation of Israel. Not that everything they do is incredibly is right, but that they're still the apple of God's eye. Bible talks about in Isaiah that he's engraved them in the palms of his hands. He loves Israel. He has not left his wife. He will restore her again. The difference between how we treat our enemies and God treats his enemies is he loves his enemies. And though Israel in some ways are his enemy today, they're still his wife. And he will restore them. He will do what he said he's going to do. Okay, so we can pause there.
Yeah. No.
When we look at what's going on and all the things happening in the Middle East, the focus has to be why.
Yeah.
And the point is that these things are going to happen. And we're not saying that this specific thing is going to lead to what we're saying is that God in the Bible tells us to keep your eyes on this area, keep your eyes on Israel. When these things are happening, you know that there's nothing that can stop the day of the Lord from happening again. Yep. There's nothing that can slow it down. There's nothing that can speed it up. God knows what's going to happen. It's going to happen. So things are going to lead up to that. And some Christians I've talked to are fearful of those things. I know that we've had some discussions. I know Micah, we talked this week a little bit. about some of these things, and you came home and you kind of already had some of it hashed out in your own mind. But these things make some people fearful because is the world going to end? Well, no, we know that things have to happen first, and I trust this book that that's the way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But when these events are happening, it should get our focus
Trust
and
that
make
book
us
or the
think.
Bible?
This book here, but this book's pretty good too. Obviously we trust the book, we believe it. So if that's the case, then we don't have to be fearful, but it should open our eyes to step up that we're living in these last times and we're right there. And I know people have said this for a long time, but you couldn't prove things that you could now. Israel's become a nation.
100 years ago, you couldn't say that.
And you couldn't say that. And it says not a generation shall pass before you see these things come to be. And Israel, we're coming up to that time period, and you can feel it. I think if you're honest, you can feel the grind of the world and just things happening. And again, that's why we're looking at these things. Not saying something specific is going to happen, but it is going to lead to other things. I mean, I think we could talk about the Epstein files and how that might eventually connect with Israel, because
There's
think
real
Israel,
connection.
there is real connection. He was a Jewish guy, and Israel's been gathering intelligence through that. And quite frankly, President Trump said it was our intelligence that led to that. And that may be true. And I'm not going to be dogmatic about this, and you don't have to get mad or agree or disagree with me. But my point is, it was probably Israeli intelligence, because no one on the planet has intelligence like Israel does.
Let me say something else too. We always use 1948 as a major date for the generation thing. I was reading an article earlier by a rabbi talking about the third temple and when they think it'll be built and all this stuff. And he said most non-Jews use 1948 as like this major marker. He's like, for Jews, it was 1967
with the 7 Days War
when they didn't have Jerusalem. That's their main city. He's like, that to us is even more important. So, I mean, you could even start the generation from when they actually had that land. Who knows? But the point is that, I mean, God has been moving in the past 100 years. And then that.
Well, this leads to this. So you mentioned something that I thought was really important. We are called to be watchmen according to the scriptures. We're told to study, to rightly divide the word of truth. And so to be a watchman, you know what, if you track that through scripture, I'm not going to get into it right now, but it means you're on guard. You're watching for signs of something that's coming. Usually it was defending the city of impending judgment or destruction. And you want to make sure you warn everyone, you know, before this destruction and war was to come. And we're called to be watchmen. And so what you see now, what we're going to talk about today, is when you start to see things that remind you of things and line up with things that you've read in the Bible. It doesn't mean, you know, the day of the Lord is coming, the tribulation period and the rapture are tomorrow. That's not what we're saying. The point we're making is there's things that you want to watch out for. And it's like, this is weird. Yeah. This is interesting. And this is one of those points. We were talking about this before. And actually, someone I know that is Jewish and has been struggling through a lot of these things reminded me of this and said, with all this stuff going on with Iran, that it is this week, the May 2nd and 3rd, or I'm sorry, no, March 2nd and 3rd was the holiday of Purim for Jewish people. And that actually is, if you read the book of Esther, that's where that comes from. It's when Israel was really saved by Esther, and when Israel was about to be decimated and genocide was going to be committed by
from Naaman.
From Haman.
Or Haman, yes.
Yeah.
Haman.
From Haman, who was, by the way, he was Persian.
A Persian leader. Second in command.
Persian leader, a major Persian leader, which, Dad, we said this a minute ago. Who is Persia today? Who is one of those major nations today? Iran. Okay. And so when you start to see these things happen the same week, and like these major events, when Iran, if they would absolutely annihilate and commit genocide on Israel, they would. If it weren't for the Iron Dome and these things they have going, it'd be gone. And you're like, man, this is interesting. This is weird. You need to pay attention, open your eyes, look for these details.
Do you know what the leader of Iran did when Trump first called him and told him that what was happening, that they were going to keep bombing them?
No, what do you do?
He ran.
Actually, did you know the actual story? He did not run.
Actually, they faked him. They faked it, like all their generals went home, came back in costumes and disguises. The guys came up above ground. All their leaders were in one place, and I
heard the one news guy say that they are dead and they don't even know they're dead, basically. Like they were just talking, had no idea, and then
I don't know where. So there is those interesting connections, and I think we would be doing a disservice because we're 20 minutes in, and we usually, I mean, we're all about the Bible on the show. The Bible is the authority. The Bible is where we're getting these things from. We don't want to be your next door neighbor conspiracy theorist bringing up all these ideas and not have any Bible to prove any of it. And so what we want to do now is start looking at the scripture And I think you have a passage you wanted to look at.
Well, there's
I
some
have a few as
history.
well.
Yeah, there's history that we have to know, and you have to lay that out. And sometimes that happens when you go through history, but
Absolutely.
you can connect these historical events to Scripture. There's no question, and we're going to do that here. But I also want you to understand it, and I've heard this a lot of times, and I think it has to be repeated, especially with the amount of anti-Semitism and if you don't know what that means, anti-Jewish sentiment that's in our country that I never thought I would actually see like it is, even amongst our Congress people.
A Marine.
Crazy.
In an open court the other day.
But the point is, and this is true. I want you to think about this if you've never thought about this. If Israel were to lay its weapons down right now and say we want peace, they'd be annihilated by every country that surrounds them. If those other countries would put their weapons down and said they wanted peace, Israel would give them peace.
Yeah.
So you might not like everything Israel does, but that's a fact. That's a factual statement. Those countries would destroy them. Matter of fact, it's part of their goals to do that. But there's a point that I wanted to make here from back in 1918 when World War I ended. After the Balfour Declaration was passed and those things were going on, England was in control of that land. I think it's interesting. First of all, the history of that is Allenby, which is, you'd say Alabi was his name. In Arabic, it means God's prophet or God's son. And they dropped flyers saying that Allenby was going to come and take over. And there's a lot of prophecies in Islam that actually freaked them out. And they wound up leaving Jerusalem and no shots were fired and no one ever conquered that city. But I don't have time to get into that today. But I do want to point out something. There's a lot of controversy around a verse. I'm going to throw it out there. I wanted Mike to read it, but he wasn't understanding what I was saying. It's in Daniel here, chapter 12.
I did understand what he was saying.
Okay. Mike. So there's a lot of controversy about these verses. And I take it from a book that I read years ago. It was written at the end of the war by a guy named Vivian Gilbert. He was in World War One. And they talked about all the things that they saw and experienced in the Middle East. And it was incredible. But one of the things he talked about was the Hijra calendar, which is the Islam calendar. They start when Muhammad took his voyage from
Mecca
to Medina, and it started their calendar. So I want Mike to read those verses. Go ahead and read that in Daniel. I think this is how Daniel closes out.
Why are you being so weird about reading the Bible, you weirdo?
I think because
I
already have.
That's all, folks.
I don't know why he can't just
So
read
do I,
them.
but watch this.
I don't know why
Dad,
he
give it to
can't
me.
just- I don't know why he can't just read them, but whatever.
Why can't? I don't know why you can't just read them. We could just say the same thing.
This
to you.
is why teenagers are all
Why would I
morons.
have to do this anyway?
I think I know which one's not your son.
Daniel 12, verses 12 and 13 say, "Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days."
So what I find is interesting is this is when Jerusalem and Israel was free. They were out of Ottoman control. You know, the circle of evil that surrounds Israel today, that's what I'll call them. They start to form. But what I want you to understand is there's a lot of controversy about that 1,335 days. And in this book, one of the things he says is the year 1335 of the Hijra calendar is the year 1917 of the Christian calendar. And that's when Israel was freed and able to be settled again by the Jew had they chosen to do that. Now, it didn't happen quite yet, but we talk about these different dates. But I think that's worth saying. You know, I don't know. I'm not going to be dogmatic and say that that's what that 1335 means because I know there's a lot of scholars smarter than me that says that. But I find that very interesting that according to the Islam calendar, who was in charge there at that time, it's 1917 on our calendar. Point being, Israel was going to become a nation. They are a key figure here. They are not out of the picture. God's going to be dealing with them again. There's going to be a lot of things coming to this planet when the rapture kicks those things off.
All right. Well, we've been giving you a lot, what we call like a shotgun effect, a lot of history, a lot of different pieces and parts to all of this. What we want to do now is start to hone it in and really talk about what does this mean today. And so if you so far felt like, man, there's a lot of information coming at me, I'm a little bit lost, we're going to hone it in right now, and we're going to start bringing it home. And I want to start doing that by proving a point that the Bible prophesies Israel would be surrounded by enemies that hate them and want to destroy them before the last days. In the last days. So can someone go to Zechariah 12, 2 through 3? Someone I'll go to Joel 3, 1 and 2. And then I didn't bring this one with me, but I know it's there. Someone go to Matthew 24 and try to find where Jesus talks to the disciples about being hated of all nations. So Jaden, go ahead with Zechariah 12, 2 and 3.
It says, Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all people round about. And when they shall be in siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem, and in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. And it says, all that burden themselves with it shall be cut in. I can't read. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all people on the earth shall be gathered together against it. So,
Yeah. Go.
You went with a. So I thought you were going to.
So Israel, Jerusalem, at this point, Israel is surrounded by enemies. Surrounded by enemies. They're round about them. All the people of the earth are gathered together against it. That is what's happening today. It's so weird. And we go to school, we learn Holocaust history, and people think, how awful. How could Hitler get everyone to hate the Jews like that? And he blamed them for doing nothing. Like, how could people be so stupid? And then guess what? People do it today.
Yep.
Everything's the Jews' fault.
Yep.
Candace Owens, everything that the Jews do, she says it's their fault. Her vase falls off her counter at nighttime. She's like, it's the Jews. I mean, literally, guys, they will blame anyone and everyone. And you want to know who it is that's blaming the Jews? It's the Catholics. It's all these Catholics that have been, years ago, we taught about it, replacement theologists, Augustine, City of God, all that teaching is coming to fruition now. And just like the Bible said, everyone is against Israel.
What year did you say the Jews looked toward for Israel when they got Jerusalem back?
1967.
Was it 1962? Was Vatican II?
I don't remember. It was probably.
It was 61 or 62 was Vatican II Council, where they changed their perspective on the Jewish people and started to say, basically, you don't hate the Jews anymore. Now we're going to start accepting and changing our thought process. Universalism.
You have all these countries around them that hate them, that want to destroy them. Just like Caleb said, and the Catholics as well, but then they changed their position on it. But I'm telling you right now, the Bible teaches that that's going to change.
And that's not true. If you do digging, you can find out that they might say one thing, but they don't. The ICC, the International Criminal Court, find out where that started. Look at who's behind it. Look who, the only group that once Netanyahu arrested and quite frankly, paid for war crimes that they said he's committed as a leader. And it's Roman Catholic led. The ICC is a Roman Catholic organization. You can check it out. You can also check, and this isn't conspiracy stuff, but that's fact. It was started from Rome.
Yeah.
So check it out. Also, Adolf Hitler, he was a Catholic.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say that, but he was. He was. If I say in bed, they're gonna start laughing. But he was tied closely with the Pope of the time. There's been multiple popes. Pope Pius X met with the Herzl that wrote the book about the Jews wanting their homeland again. He said, no, we can never recognize that. Look at the year when the Roman Catholic Church finally recognized Israel as a nation. Why don't you check that out sometime? I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you'll probably be surprised. When they officially
someone drop it in the comments. Someone look it up.
Officially recognized Israel as a nation. Check that out. Also, well, how can you say that he was a Catholic?
He was baptized in the Catholic.
Ever since Constantine, he was. Ever since Constantine, every country in the world that is Roman Catholic has fought under the symbol of a cross. Every single one. And if you look at Germany's tanks, their planes, and everything they did, they had a cross. There's an iron cross on all of them. They also use a swastika, which is a broken cross. My point being, every single one of them has fought under that symbol. Sure. He's a Roman Catholic. Their ceremonies for the SS officers were done just like the Roman Catholic Church. As a matter of fact, you can check out some of the ceremonies, the same colors, and they had Roman Catholic priests there do it. And when the war was over, guess how they got smuggled out? It's called Operation Spider. Check it out. Yeah. It was Roman Catholic Church that smuggled them out as priests, the same guys that committed the whole
into South Africa. And that's where
all over the world. Yep. But South
Africa was huge.
You're going to see that we're not just hating on Catholics or anything like that. The religion itself, guys, we are going to show you in the Bible is connected. I'm just going to give it away to you. It is connected to the Antichrist final kingdom. It is connected to the beast, which is made up of certain nations when you study the Bible. And it is connected to the selling of souls of men and of slaves. It is connected to all the things you see going on in the world, the hatred of the Jews. It's connected all to one place.
And are we
ever heard all roads lead back to Rome? Guys, that is 100% true biblically.
And just to make very clear, we're not talking about individual people here.
No.
And that we know or that I know. I have friends, seriously, that are Roman Catholic. I'm not talking about those people. I know they're not either. We're talking about the system and the religion when it was originally created by Constantine and by those people, what it was made for and what it has stood for years. Not only that, but there's a lot of thought out there that Iran has been backed by Rome for a long time. Like there's all kinds of weird conspiracy stuff out there. And they're going to muddy the waters and make it really murky to see what it actually is. But a lot of people think Iran is has been backed by Rome for a long time.
And then we see in Joel 3, 1 and 2, for behold, in those days, another reference to the last days, the tribulation, in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. Hey, that's them today. He brought them back as a nation. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. They parted them, they scattered them, but I'm going to bring them back. I'm going to deliver them from that captivity. And when that happens, all nations are going to be against them, just like he said. And then we have it in Matthew as well. Jesus speaking to the Jewish disciples.
Yeah. So Matthew 24, Jesus leaves the temple and he goes to speak to his disciples about basically the times of the end.
That's what they ask him. They said, what are the sign of that coming and of the end of the world?
Let me get there and I'll tell you.
Well, you said basically
Dude,
about.
He's not taking a breath today.
Matthew 24:3.
I haven't talked at all.
This is what the disciples say. Matthew 24:3. The disciples came unto him, Jesus, privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, I'll skip down to verse 9 now. It talks about nations rising against nations in verse 7, kingdom against kingdom, famines, earthquakes, all this stuff in verse 9. And they shall kill you, and ye, the disciples who were Jewish, shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Nations. Now, he was not talking about the 12 disciples are going to be hated by all nations. He's talking about what they believed and what they stood for and their nation as a whole, which was Israel, God's nation. That is who this is talking to. So, going to be hated of all nations.
And that's exactly what's happening today.
Also, I was reading, I saw this just looking up over my notes. Psalm 83 says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up thy head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. It's a good one. The verse 3 here says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people. I'm a teenager and I'm on Instagram, I'm on social media, and the things that I've seen lately, I never used to see anything. But the past week, ever since this war has been going on, there have been so many videos posted about Israel being behind the scenes. People are turning against Israel very fast.
Oh, yeah.
Very fast.
Even Christians.
Yeah.
Even Christians who know their Bibles.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
And, Caleb mentioned it earlier. What was that guy, a Marine or something?
Yeah, did you see that video?
Yeah, there was a Marine in a court
Did you see this?
protesting against,
They broke his arm or
us
whatever.
helping Israel, and he got escorted out, and people were like, "Oh, this is so terrible. Why do we care so much about Israel people and not U.S. people?" Like, they're all going crazy in the comments. And then also I saw something. Charlie Kirk was talking to like a Navy guy in the Navy a while back, and the video just got posted. Lately, like 2 days ago about this, and this guy was going crazy saying how Israel is controlling the U.S., all this crazy stuff, and he's saying that he knows all this stuff going on behind the scenes. But whatever, people are getting stuff online. Just make sure what you're seeing online, that you look into it yourself, because there are lies all over
Yeah,
there.
It's funny that he says that too, because we talked about the Roman Catholic Church, and they were the ones that originally and really started pushing the anti-Semitism, obviously. And that guy talked about how the Jews are the ones, behind the scenes working all this stuff. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what the Catholic Church
That's
is.
exactly what the Bible says they do.
They're the ones in our Christian government. If you look up any Christian senators and House, people we have in the House of the Republic or whatever, and it'll give you a huge percentage that's Christian and it's Catholic. They've infiltrated our government. They're the ones working behind the scenes.
Colleges.
They're the ones that are doing all of the things that they're accusing the Jews of doing, is the funny part.
I also thought it was cool how the Bible just threw in the word, crafty counsel, not just counsel, crafty counsel. When you look up what crafty means, it says cunning, artful, skillful in devising and pursuing a scheme by deceiving others. They're using the internet to deceive us, and a lot of Americans as well.
In case you think we sound conspiratorial, let me read you what Revelation 17:2 says about the Catholic Church, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. That's exactly what he says is going on. They are controlling the kings of the earth, all the kings of the earth. And you know what? There are different groups of Christians out there. There are some who ought to know better, frankly. They would say, well, I know the Bible, and, I agree that, we should support Israel, but I just don't like what they're doing over there. Have you seen what they did in killing these people and those people? And I'm like, I'd hate for you to open your Bible and see what Jesus is going to do to these people. Have you read what Jesus is going to do to these people when he shows back up? I really don't have a problem with what Israel. Honestly, Israel is being merciful compared to what Jesus Christ is going to do to these nations when he shows back up. So you better stop saying things without thinking biblically, or the problem is you have these carnal Christians that are only thinking politically. And it's, well, he's not actually America first. Is this America first or Israel first? Are you a Christian? Or are you a politician first? Or are you a conservative first? Is your life all about freedom and liberty first? Or is your life about obeying the word of God first?
How about
That's the question you need to ask yourself.
And in addition, if you're thinking and you're seeing the mindset change of Israel right now and how people view them, and the Jew keeps getting thrown under the bus, and why are so many Democratic people right now, and they're standing up. If you just turn on the news, these courtrooms are crazy, dude. These people are standing up saying, why are we doing this? Why are we supporting Israel? Get out of the war. We've had now it's been 6 service members die. Our president doesn't even talk about it. He doesn't care. It is the most bold-faced lie bullcrap I've ever seen in my life that they're saying. They've done everything they can. We're over there. For those of you that don't know, okay, Iran is sending in, if you watch Fox News, they have live reporting on this, missiles daily, hundreds of them, into Tel Aviv and all across Israel, trying to annihilate them every single day, all day long, nonstop. And when Iran couldn't get it done, because then the U.S. stepped in and President Trump stepped in, thank God. Thank God that President Trump supports Israel. Because when he stepped in and he started going after Iran couldn't hold it in themselves anymore. So then they showed their true colors, and you found out that the people they've been supporting with weapons, Hezbollah, a known worldwide terrorist organization in southern Lebanon that their own government hates. Lebanon doesn't even support them. They're just there. That they started coordinating attacks into Israel. Iran, and a known terrorist organization who has been committing genocide and killing thousands of innocent people, of their own people, for years.
Yeah.
That is who Israel and the U.S. are going after.
And let's choose. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's be clear, because we're not saying that President Trump is like this great Christian example. No. And none of us believe that. I think he's probably lost. But I do think God's using him, because God says he holds the heart of the kings in his hands. So my point is this. President Trump, the reason that the stuff he does seems to be turning out okay right now, and if you watch, you'll see this. I'm just telling you, I guess I'm a prophet because I can read the Bible and believe it. But the more he treats Israel good, God's still going to bless things in his presidency.
Yeah.
Even though he's an immoral man, God used Cyrus for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Actually, I have that verse. Let me read it. 2 Chronicles 36:22. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation all throughout his kingdom and put it into writing, saying, and what he went on to do was said, the Jewish people, go home, go to Jerusalem, go back to your homeland. I got your back. And that's what Trump's doing.
And guess what? They're holding up signs like, make Iran great again.
Yeah.
Make Israel great. Make Israel great again. You can look at him, you can dislike him. If I was in a room with him, maybe I wouldn't like him.
I would not like him.
But the thing that we're saying is he's doing things that is favorable to the Jew, and I think that God's blessing other parts of him.
And
he's not necessarily a Christian man, and I don't think he's a moral man by any means. But God's definitely using him. Did God spare his life from that bullet? Yeah. I think he did.
Probably for this.
He has some supernatural.
Genesis 12:3.
But there's a reason.
He's gonna bless them that bless thee.
And lest you start clapping and having a parade for Trump as well, as great as what he's doing and supporting Israel, and as he should, if you think biblically, you also realize, and we won't have time to prove this today, but it is 100% the case, unless you think Revelation 13 and those kingdoms represent Greece, Babylon, and ancient Persia, which have no power anymore. The leopard absolutely represents America. And the Antichrist kingdom will support Israel.
The leopard
will bring peace to Israel, and then turn their back on them.
Yeah.
Well,
so
like
you can see that's what's
don't misunderstand. Your Catholic leaders, the high up Catholic people in the government, they will absolutely support Israel, because there's a woman in Revelation 17 who is tied to a beast, riding on the beast. They work together. They have power together. The woman, think about it. She's a woman. She's powerless. She's helpless in this case. No, seriously, that's the picture. No, I'm not saying that about women. I'm saying about this woman.
Picture, correct.
But the beast that she's riding on is bear, leopard, and lion combination beast that John said like was amazing to even look at. The power she's using is nations. How is this woman seemingly harmless? How is she controlling this beast? Because it's religious control.
That's right.
Well,
She has religious control over political power, which is the beast, which would be
And when
America.
you study,
What Luke is saying is when you look at Daniel and Revelation, the lion and the leopard and the bear
represent
represent
countries that
nations and
exist
countries
today.
in existence today. That's what Luke's
The
getting at.
leopard being the United States, the lion
simpler
being
than what I
Britain,
said, you
the
think?
bear being Russia. We can talk about others too, but we could prove that out. But I do want to say this. It goes back to, Luke keeps saying something I want to make a point of. It goes back to the very beginning when I started talking, the first thing out of the gate today. It comes back to the Word of God. And when you lose your final authority, you start getting off on stuff. And even though I watch a lot of conservative news, if I'm honest, I'm not watching, the liberals have lost their minds, but I'm listening to Roman Catholic newscasters on Fox that say things that sound moral and good. And I'm
Yeah.
just telling you, the best lie always is the one closest to the truth.
Oh yeah.
And the Roman Catholic Church appears to be this beautiful woman, but she's not. And that's not what she's ever been. It's always been a big deception. It's all about deception. God moves, Satan counters, and it's a deception. Ever since Eve in the garden, when he deceived the woman and the man disobeyed, it's been about deception. That's Satan's playbook. He's never left it. He's never changed it. Even Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived, had the most powerful country in the world at the time. Israel was at the peak, probably in history, of all nations in history of power. And he let these other religions come in and bring their fornication with them. And then Israel, that was the destruction of
I
Israel.
lay my chips on the table, and maybe this will make people mad. I would bet as much as I have that the Antichrist will not be a liberal. He will be he will be a Catholic
It looks very
conservative.
close to a Christian.
He would be probably a Catholic conservative.
Yeah.
Almost certainly. Or he will be really closely connected with that.
Yeah, he will.
And I think that that's
Sympathetic
important
to
with
it.
what we're talking about. Again, this is not meant to be an exhaustive study on Revelation 17, 18, and all that. Some of this you have to take for what we're saying, but we're trying to paint a picture here. Someone want to go to Psalm 83? Psalm 83.
I can get it.
Actually, I'll get that because there's a lot of verses. Go to Zechariah 14, 1 through 3. I just want to keep building the case about what it looks like in the end times. Micah, do you want to read Psalm 83, 1 through 8? It's actually not a lot.
I actually just read 3 of the verses, so
What do you mean?
I read 3.
Was that where yours were from? I knew it was in Psalms. I didn't think it was that. Okay, then you just do Zechariah 14.
It says, Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses
Rifled.
Thanks.
Well,
And
you
the woman
stop.
ravished,
Luke just wants to
and
talk
half
today,
of the
man.
city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And again, just going back to all of the nations of the world really turning against Israel. And we've looked through all these prophecies, but you can also read in Matthew 25, the judgment of the nations, where they're going to be judged based off of how they treated the Jew. And what's going to happen is a lot of, if not most of the nations of the world that turns against Israel are going to be cast into I think it's at the lake of fire. I can't remember exactly what it says.
It says into eternal torment or something like that. I don't
Okay.
know if he's clear in that one.
But either way, Matthew
Yeah, wailing and
25,
gnashing of teeth.
after that, so it's all, we see it in prophecy in Zechariah, but we see this in the New Testament too with the judgment of the nations right after the second coming.
Go to a couple other. Can someone turn to Isaiah 31?
I didn't hear you.
Isaiah 31.
Isaiah 31.
That's Luke's way of telling me to talk to the microphone. I'm not used
That
to doing
was. That was.
I'm turning there.
this. I do know my son.
He's
And
learning
he's still a moron.
quickly.
Isaiah 31, what?
4 and 5.
Just all of it.
For thus hath the Lord spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey, when a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him. He will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion, and for the hill thereof. As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also he will deliver it, and passing over he will preserve it.
I think it's incredible. There's some key words in here. First of all, when you're reading this, the Lord is spoken to him and said, like a lion and a young lion, when a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him. We're not talking about like your regular Joes coming against Israel here. We're talking about religious leaders. Okay, we're talking about religious people. He will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase them or the noise of them. So shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion and for the hill thereof. And I want you to even picture this because I think the Bible's more real than we make it. Man, I would actually like to go through some of the history stuff more, but I know we don't have time for that. But I'm telling you, that plan, it was incredible that happened with Israel after World War One. Incredible. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you that I'm not exaggerating. The next verse, as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Let me ask you a question, just in common sense wise. When I look at Israel today, there's a lot of birds flying over Israel defending them.
Seagulls.
There's seagulls with some.
Eagles.
You're talking about product planes right now.
I'm talking about airplanes. For sure I am. We'll defend Jerusalem, defending it, will deliver it.
All aerial attack right
preserve
now.
it. I mean, there's things going on today that I think they're going to happen again too. But I think you can make an argument that God defends Israel, like even to this day, from the time they became a
Absolutely.
nation again. No one is going to conquer Israel. I mean, it's not going to happen. That's one thing I know. It's not, again, I'm not a prophet other than the fact I believe the book. They're not going to go. God's not going to let them out be destroyed again.
Yeah, you can even read. I sent it to you guys a while back, but there's a website out there somewhere, an article where it was like 10 or 15 great miraculous, Israel war stories.
Yeah.
Where you can go through and you can read, and these are firsthand accounts of basically people writing about what they saw and how. I mean, there's one example where someone's coming up to fight Israel. They're basically have no guns, no way of winning this whatsoever, and their enemies just turn around and start sprinting away. And what happened? Well, later you find out that they said that they saw an angelic, what was it? Like an army basically just floating above the tanks that just terrified them all. They all turned and ran.
Yeah.
And you can just see story after story after story of people claiming it, and it's God protecting Israel. And he always, I mean, again, like he said, they're not going anywhere. And again, because we know we're right at the end.
Yeah. Listen, the Bible is not silent about kingdoms. God calls out specific kingdoms that will be in play in the last days. And there's 10 that surround Israel that are confederate against Israel. In Psalms is what it says. There's a confederacy against them, and that's in Psalm 83. And then it says that they're helping the children of Lot, which I think is interesting as well. I wonder who that might represent today. What do we think of when we think of Lot?
Basically, a very watered down Christian.
Homosexuality, very
perversion,
accepting,
yeah.
very perverted. I think a lot of America, maybe you could say it's Moab and Ammon, whatever they represent today. I think it's probably a little deeper than that. Some people read no prophecy in the Bible, and it's a shame. They don't see that there's deeper things. America is talked about. Russia is talked about. Not just Gog and Magog, but the bear, the lion, Britain is discussed. These are going to be major players in these last days.
Persia.
And we are living in those. We're living in that.
We're watching
And
them unfold.
There is a lot of that going on. In Israel, I've heard people saying that, well, they make fun of dispensationalists and saying that all of this is, all these dispensationalists are coming out now. Look at, they think this is all proving what they've been saying. It is. It's proving it.
Yes.
Talk in the microphone, please.
For 2,000 years, Israel wasn't a nation. Put your head on.
And they became a nation again.
And then it became a nation again. It's never happened before. Well, that's not real Israel. Go pound salt. Yes, it is. We've already discussed that. It's real Israel.
So God prophesied that Israel is going to come back as a nation. They come back as a nation, and you look at that and you say, "Oh, that's not God for fulfilling a prophecy. That's not Israel."
A lost person would make that argument. If you're a Christian, you should know better than that. Is God still working? Is he still at work? And not only that, there's enemies surrounding them that hate them. There is a devilish. Can anyone else? Is there any other way to describe the anti-Semitism? Why isn't there like an anti-Americanism spirit in the world?
Well, that's
why
my
is
problem.
it just with the Jews?
What have the Jews done? And I was going to say this earlier and I forgot. Look through their history. What have they done? What have they done to cause everyone to hate them? But not conspiracy.
Yeah.
Jealousy could be your only argument.
And there's nations and there's people that have existed that we have hardcore facts that they have
money.
That they have done
Wealthy.
absurd
And
things.
God's blessed them.
Yeah.
So can someone
he's right. People blame him and say, well, look how much money they have. Look what they own. And it's because they're good with God blesses them.
Anyway, I was just to say, this has always been a thing. Luke was just saying, I mean, people have always hated, Jews and said stuff, had anti-Semitism. It's just worse now more than ever. I was listening to a message from Andy Spate from Jackson the other day, and he was saying how, when he was in school, people go around calling each other, stupid Jews.
Yeah.
Like it's always been a thing. I hear stuff, in my school district sometimes too. People will just say, like kill all the like just messing around. But I mean, seriously.
Okay, wait. I teach at that school, and I have never heard kids saying that. So just for the
They
record,
just go around, they're just messing around saying, kill
but
all
they
the Jews.
do. But listen, but it is
No,
common
they-
language to say.
going around to their school.
But it is common language to say things like, "I just got Jewed," or "Don't Jew me out of that money."
When I was at school,
You got to be very
Baseball,
careful.
it
As
was
a matter of
bad hit.
fact,
It was a Jew hit.
it just
Yep.
became a saying, like without even thinking about it. Can someone read Isaiah of 40:15, please? Because I just want to expound on a point that someone made earlier that Luke did, I think, and Caleb did too.
Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing.
There's only one nation that matters to God. Matter of fact, I'm going to say this. This is going to be controversial, so you guys might like this. God's the biggest racist that's ever lived.
I'm not laughing.
He is. He has one race he loves. We're adopted in as believers and as the bride of Christ, but God loves a Jew. He is the biggest racist that's ever lived. That's his people. If you deny that, you're a fool. Now, put that in context of how I just said that. Someone could totally take that in context. They probably will.
They will.
But my point is,
And yet
every
he's
other nation is a drop in the bucket. God doesn't, he'll use those nations to get his will accomplished.
I mean, just
For
look
Israel.
at how much of the Bible was written to Gentiles.
All of it.
Yeah. No.
No, I'm just joking because
No,
that's
the
what people
Gentiles
act.
I know.
And yet at the same
No,
time,
that's the point. I mean, the whole Bible, it's about the Jew. It's the whole Testament. It's the history of the Jew. Yeah, he moved away from us, and there's a portion of the New Testament that's this thick about
You
us.
Jewish?
Us? Are you Jewish?
Jane's Jewish.
Jaden?
Oh,
What did I say?
you said he moved away
Jewish.
from us.
Jaden?
He's going to move away from us.
Yeah.
But he moved away from the Jew for a
He
time,
is circumcised. I watched when I
using us to.
What in the world? Why do I?
Corey is uncomfortable.
Corey's actually
I don't know what I was saying, so just cut that out and go wherever.
What
I was
is
gonna
going
say,
on today?
you
Yeah.
call him the biggest racist of all time, yet he's also like the complete opposite at the same time, which is kind of cool. Like, and he's not a respecter of persons, and so you start to see God's true nature and that he has a people. Yet, in it does in a way make him seem racist because he's like, I love the Jews more than anybody, but yet he also loves all of us more than anybody. It's very bizarre.
nations versus individuals.
And his
Yeah.
blood was so powerful. Jesus' blood was so powerful that it didn't matter what nation you were from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so back to the point I was just trying to finish earlier, before my brother and father interrupted
feels
me.
bad, just
Didn't listen to anything I had to
Just
say.
say it.
They're gonna have to cut all that out. So there's factual things that in history that nations have done that committed genocide. I mean, Hitler is just such a great example. He really is what he did in Germany. And yet everything, because it was just terrible.
Wait, what?
Hitler is a great
It's a
example.
great example. Look at him.
That's
He's
gonna
a
be
great
that's gonna be our intro
The
right
reason-
there.
The way I'm saying that.
Hitler over here with the German music. Oh, yeah,
For sure. For sure. It's actually not funny.
It's a great example.
It's for sure gonna
Hitler's
listen.
actually a great
You
example.
better just get ready for it. Hitler's a great example.
Give him a mustache. Actually, Hitler's just a great example.
That's for sure going to happen. You just get ready for it. That's good. It's funny.
Okay, Doctor.
All right, so going back. So what the point I was making was earlier was that there's all these leave me alone, people.
Well, just don't be a weirdo. Be normal.
Hitler's a great example. Anyways,
All right, so throughout history, what I was talking about earlier is that there are
Right.
nations that have factually committed genocide, and Hitler is a good example of the evidence that we have for what he did. It's undeniable. The Jews in Israel there's no evidence that exists like that. It's all conspiracy and it's crap.
Yep.
They blame everything on them. And every single time you go to talk about it, it's conspiracy. Well, this is what I believe. Oh, this is what they had to say. Oh, this is what these people believe. No, you're wrong. Give them the benefit of the doubt. They've always been around.
yeah.
They've always existed and they will always exist. Even though they're in the middle of a war right now that's going on, they have enemies around them that hate them everywhere, yet they still have the most powerful nation in the world on their side. What are the chances of that?
And people always complain about them. It's like they're in the Middle East just like all these other countries. Why are they so much more powerful? Why are
Yes.
their people so innovative? Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why they're so innovative, why they're so smart, why they're so wealthy? Well, it's all because of all these conspiracies. They own everything, the banks, the Rothschild. Grow up.
You know
No,
why-
it's because
no.
God said he blessed them.
You hate them, you don't like them because in your heart, you know that God chose them.
Yeah,
Do,
that's
do
it.
you
And you know
realize?
what?
That's
Get
it.
over it.
Do you realize that during World War II and the Holocaust was going on, that all the German science, the best scientists in the world, the most brilliant minds were working on an atomic bomb. All those scientists defected, and no countries would welcome them. We weren't the most welcoming. We let a lot come here, especially the scientists,
The Manhattan Project.
and
is
it
that what we're
was
talking about?
the percentage is ridiculous. They were almost all Jewish scientists that were from Germany that were working
Yeah.
on the project,
Einstein's a famous
including
one.
Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
When you think of science, you think of the most brilliant scientists in modern history. Everyone will say Albert Einstein.
Darwin.
He was a Jew. Now, in saying all this, in defending the Jews, I want to make something clear. Today, Israel is probably one of the most godless nations on the planet.
Absolutely.
Even the celebration they were having when October 2nd happened, it was one of those, was their version of that Burning Man festival thing that's a big
It's true.
orgy.
It's I think
mean,
one of the
it's-
gayest nations in the country.
It's
in the world.
unbelievable. They're so anti-God,
That's what-
anti-moral. And if you were a Jew was watching right now, I'm saying this in all love. You are still part of a godless nation, but God is going to restore that someday. But listen, you will pay the price for your sins still. Right now, you still need the blood of Christ to be saved.
Yeah.
That's how you have to get saved. You have to do everything anyone else does, or else you are going to have a one-way ticket to hell when you die. That's the only thing that saves us from that is the blood of Jesus Christ. And anyone that tells you something different or adds to it, it's just not true. But it's the same for you right now. You're as lost as anybody else. As a nation, God's not done with you. As an individual, you can pay the price for your sin. There's no difference between the Jew and the Greek when it comes to our salvation.
It's true.
So I think I mean there guys, I really do feel bad. It's ironic.
Oh my goodness.
I've been
Ironic?
saying it so much.
Is it ironic?
I really do feel bad that we aren't able to
God.
get in and really
Iran
prove
from
to
out.
you
Yeah.
all the prophecies of the nations and the leopard and the bear and the lion and all that we've discussed.
Oh my.
We will do an episode on that, I promise. But today's not that day. But just to kind of encapsulate, and you guys help summarize some of this with me as well. So far, what we're talking about is Israel. The Bible prophesied was going to be hated. Jesus prophesied they'd be hated. The Jews would be hated. They'd be scattered. They would be surrounded by countries that want to kill them. And then when that time was happening, that was when Jesus was going to be coming back. That was a sign of him coming back. In fact, I didn't have them written down, but there's verses in Proverbs where God talks about how he that keepeth the fig tree, which is Israel in the Bible, is equated to being honored for waiting on your master. Waiting on your master is equated to keeping the fig tree. Israel is our sign. Israel is the sign of the end.
Yep.
When they exist, when they're a country, 1948, when they get Jerusalem back, 1967-ish, whatever that was, and then when they're surrounded by nations in war, constantly in the news, and then they're accompanied by a country that the Bible tells us is the main body of the Antichrist final kingdom, with major Catholic leaders and conservative voices, the woman and the beast. Guys, I'm telling you, the signs are prevalent.
And
They
Jesus
are all
himself said
over.
it. Jesus himself said the fig tree. He said that fig tree is dead. It can't produce. It's dead right now. But when you see that fig tree bud,
Then you
know
would
that this time's coming. And he uses the Jaden's wife is pregnant right now with somebody's baby, and they're going to be having a baby pretty soon.
Yeah, let's not
And
say
you know,
People might not know.
it's Jaden's baby. We think. So that was a joke. My point was when that. And Luke's wife's pregnant also with the first girl we're going to have in this family. But the point is, we don't know the day or the exact hour she's going to have a baby. We know it's coming. And this is like one of those labor pains that you should be able to see that, hey, the world's in travail,
Right now,
like a
she's
woman
huge.
pregnant,
She's about to pop.
and she's in travail. But you don't know the time or day, but it's coming.
Yeah.
That thing's coming. And it's the same thing. It's the same comparison that's made in the Bible as well.
I think with all of that, it's even more with Christians. I guess that's the part that makes me upset. They're either thinking so politically or they're so conservative that they're not Christian anymore. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? They get
Yeah.
so conservative. It's all about Trump and about America first that they're not biblical anymore. They're not thinking biblically
No
anymore.
final authority.
Or they're so they don't even know. They think Israel over there is not even a real nation, or that they think that we've replaced the Jews so that those people over there are evil. The madness is it's crazy. And so, I mean, I thought we could go around and give some final statements about just everyone, give their final thoughts on what's going on. I had written something out that I want to read, and so I could start and give you an idea what I was going to say, or you guys can
That's
go.
fine, I guess.
Okay. This is just for me. I wrote this out because I knew it was going to be all over the place, and there's a lot of things going on. And even like he said, Epstein, How does Epstein relate to all this? It does.
It's going to.
There is a woman, Revelation
It's coming.
17, that is connected with these nations and the kings of the earth. It says that she sells merchandise and gives money to the kings of the earth. And she, part of her business, is selling souls of men and slaves, child trafficking. Who's doing that? Well, it's the woman. Well, who's that? It's the Catholic Church. And why are they doing it? The nations and their leaders, the kings of the earth. She's committing fornication, giving them. We could go into that, but there's so many connections. But synopsis of this would be Israel became a nation again in 1948, as pictured in Ezekiel 37, the prophecy of the dry bones. They have flesh and bones. They are a nation. They have a military. They have walls, but not the breath of life yet. Just like Ezekiel 37 says, they're not saved. They haven't been born again. They have not been born again as a nation spiritually yet. That will happen later when God turns them back to himself. That's in Ezekiel 37, Zechariah 12, Romans 11. Israel in the Middle East is not some fake Israel. It is the Hebrew people in their homeland, exactly as the Bible prophesied. They're surrounded by war, exactly as the Bible prophesied. They are hated, exactly as the Bible prophesied. They are enemies for the gospel's sake, exactly as Paul said, yet still elect for the Father's sake, exactly as Paul said. So that's true as well. They're involved in peace right now with the leopard body, America today, doctrinally, while those around them are still against them. This peace is fake and circumstantial and preparing the way for the Antichrist to overtake them at the right time, exactly as the Bible prophesies through confederacy, false peace, and final betrayal. We can look at that all over the place in the Bible. The child trafficking, hatred against Israel, and power connected to Roman Catholicism are all in line with Revelation 17 and 18, where the woman commits fornication with the kings of the earth, traffics slaves and souls of men, children. This is not reading recent events into the Bible, but reading recent events in light of what the Bible has already prophesied, exactly as it would happen. Some people think, well, you're just reading that into the Bible. No, it said it. People wrote about it years ago. Larkin, Ruckman, some of these guys wrote it years ago, exactly as it's happening today. And that's what we see in the Bible.
Yep.
That's my thoughts.
Man, he pretty much covered everything there. But no, just going back to how he had started it, how church history, we come out of the Philadelphian church age, we go into Laodicea, and at that moment, we walk away from the King James Bible, and God starts to move his eye to Israel. And if you want to know where you're at in history, if you want to know how this stuff is playing out in front of us, you look at Israel. They are the landmark.
The landmark. Good. Perfect.
You told you he'd like
They are. If you want to know where you're at, you want to know what is going on in this world? How do I know where we're at in relation to the timeline, the end times? Israel is the key. You watch them. They became a nation. You watched it. I didn't watch it happen, but it happened pretty recently. I mean, some of your grandparents probably watched it happen, possibly.
He did.
You probably watched it happen. And then you keep going and you see, okay, now they're, like we talked about, they're hated by all the nations surrounding them. It's all playing out right in front of us. Just keep your eye on them.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to be said, but this has all happened before. History is repeating itself right now.
Yeah.
Rome tried to destroy Israel. Didn't work. Greece tried to destroy Israel. Didn't work.
Rome
Persia,
still does.
Persia tried to destroy Israel. Didn't work. Babylon tried to destroy Israel. Didn't work. Nation after nation after nation after nation before that tried to destroy Israel. Did not work. It's never worked.
Germany.
So guess what? It's never going to work. I'm just telling you. Because you know how we know that? You know how we know they'll never be destroyed? They'll never be wiped out? Because the book tells us. And they're there till the end. As David sits, as the throne of David, as Jesus Christ is king in the millennium, the throne of David in where? In New Jerusalem. Never goes anywhere. All right? So if you think it does, if you think they're gone, if you think they're going to lose this war, if you think that you want them to be wiped out, you want them to be gone because your religion thinks that you're the center of it all, you're wrong. And you know how? Line it up with history. Oh, I'm sorry. Islam also, Muhammad also tried to destroy Israel. It wasn't just Hitler and Constantine in the Crusades. Muhammad led into Jerusalem to destroy the rest of them that were there at that point in time, to try to take over their land, and then built their own version of the temple there.
Yeah.
This has all happened before. Read your book. Open your eyes. If you don't believe in God, if you don't believe anything that we're saying, if you're just like, man, this stuff should freak you out.
Yeah.
It really, like, I've been talking to my wife this week a lot about this stuff. This stuff freaks me out a
It
little
should
bit.
motivate you.
But it should freak you out to the point of motivation. That's exactly what it is. It makes me want to read my Bible more. It makes me want to be able to talk about people more. It makes me want to be able to say, hey, it's going to be okay. Because then it all points back to the cross. And it's like, hey, it's coming. Jesus Christ died for you. It's coming. Christ died for you. The Jews don't accept him right now, but they will through the events that are to come shortly.
Yeah, I mean, you guys touched on a lot of different things. Kind of based off of what Caleb just said, you know, especially, I mean, it should freak you out. It freaks me out a lot. I mean, but now more than ever, we need to be. I mean, if you weren't in your Bible, you need to get into it now more than ever, because you've barely got enough time. And now more than ever as well, you better be sharing the gospel with people. Share it with those who you love. Share it with those who you care about. Those at school, because man, God's coming back soon, and you only got so much time to get the word out to them. I mean, and you don't want to have any regrets.
Yeah.
Any regrets when you're sitting on the judgment seat, getting judged for everything that you've done in your life. So I mean, that, and also, Luke also touched on it a little bit. There's going to be a peace, quote unquote, coming up here soon. And we don't even need to see that, because we know that there will be, because the Bible talks about it. There will be a world peace in that area. Everybody will come together at some point, whether we're here or not.
Yeah.
But that will happen, and we have all the answers right here in the book. Just read it, believe what it says, and I mean, yeah, it's never been proved wrong, and it's proved itself over and over again.
Bring us home, Daddy.
So the thing is,
Okay.
anyway,
Yeah, he's talked enough. All right. That was episode.
we've said a lot of stuff, but bottom line is, if you're watching and you've stuck out this long and you're kind of confused, God doesn't care where you've been or where you are. You got to move forward. So start now and move forward. I think we all come to points in our lives, and a few years ago we changed churches, and I wasn't sure about that when it happened, but God just wanted to do something different, and He told me to stop saying no to Him, and so I did. Not that I was doing anything overtly sinful, but I guess that is. But point is, just do what He's calling you to do. These guys, we do sit around a fire at our house or wherever they're at. They'll go to each other's houses, and this is nothing. They do talk about these things. This is real. This is real to our families. It's real in our lives. This is what we believe. This is what we do. This is who we are. We need to pray. We need to be in the book. And those are things I think that are lacking. We need to have this as a final authority. And the bottom line is, if you don't have a final authority, you're being tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. You're going to believe lies because you don't have anything to compare it to. You don't have a landmark. This is your final landmark in all things. And the main message is that if you don't know Christ as your Savior, if you've never said, which they've presented the gospel very clearly, and a lot of things, they just put one out last week in a little 10-minute segment that Jesus died, was buried, and rose again on the third day, according to the scriptures, and that with the mouth we believe in our heart, we confess with our mouth Jesus is Lord. That's what saves you. That's it. There's no magic prayer. There's no words to say, and it's all about you and your personal relationship with God. God knows your heart. He knows your heart. He knows it better than you do. It's about knowing Him. If you haven't done that, you need to do that first. I think one of the main reasons they're doing this is so that someone's not sure if they've been saved. Maybe you grew up hearing a lot of this, but you've never actually prayed it. If you've never actually done it, listen, the Bible says the devil and his angels believe. They know who Jesus was. They've always known who He was, but they don't confess Him as Lord. They don't ask Him for forgiveness.
Yeah.
That's the difference. You have to do that, or you're separated from God. Your soul and your flesh are still tied together. And if you think about it, even gravity pulls. Where does it pull you toward? It pulls you toward the earth. Guess what's in the middle of that earth? This earth, from the time we're born, pulls us toward hell.
Yeah.
We have to reach to God.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do other than praying that prayer. But this is what we do. This is what these boys do when they're by themselves. And I'm just going to tell you, prayer works. It does. Because there's no way to make certain things happen other than praying to God and let Him work it out. And it never works out how in our minds we imagine it. This, I would have never imagined it could have even happened 25, 30 years ago when these guys were young or not born yet. But it has, and God's done that. It's nothing that me or my wife have done other than, we believe the book and tried to live it and made our mistakes. And if you're one of the parents that I know have kids that are struggling, you just got to keep praying for them. You got to keep praying for them. You got to do what you can for them to meet them where they're at. And you love them no matter what, like God does us. That's all I got. The history part, check out some more of that history. If you want more history or something like that, tell these guys whatever they do, request it on the little.
People really like this.
airtime
We
thing.
could go further and we can get more details on this
But
stuff.
the history stuff, especially of Jerusalem becoming or Israel becoming free and before World War II even happened, and those nations forming around them, that stuff's incredible. It's incredible, and it's all unfolded. You can see a pattern of history and where God's worked.
I would say if you want us to prove out America as the leopard and how that works,
Daniel
and Revelation, throw it in the comments and we'll do that. Again, we didn't have time to break that down today.
It'd be easy to do if we
it's
just knew
something
exactly
you want
where
to
we're
do,
going.
just let us know.
One
I'll-
last thing, Luke. There's a
Go for it.
verse that if you guys, I would like, if you're listening and we're talking about this stuff, there's a verse in Revelation. What's the verse that talks about? Is it Revelation 18 or 17? If someone find this, it's
Just what does it say?
it's one where Christ is on the horse and,
19,
and there's people in white robes with him.
yeah, 1910, 1911, 1912.
Read that verse, and then and if somebody would be like, I know who that is. Who are the people in the white robes there? What's going on at that time period? What's going on? What's happening? And who are the people in those robes?
Yeah.
I can read it really quick.
I think that's. Go ahead and read it, Jaden.
So, and he was clothed with vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God, and the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. Out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he would smite the nations, that he would rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of the Almighty God.
You don't even know what that means. Dude.
That blood is not his.
Yeah.
And who are the armies on the white horses and the white robes? And if you're not, make comments and say who you think
That
they are.
wine press, it says, is going to fill the valley of Megiddo
What do
up
you
to the
want?
horse's bridle.
Which?
That's
Of blood.
5 feet of
Of blood.
blood, and it's miles and miles of a valley. So
Yeah.
again, like I said, if you're a Christian and you don't like Israel and all this stuff, to wrap it up, and you don't like what they're doing, you better put your big boy pants on, because things are going to get worse. And the worst
Read
is
those
when
verses.
Jesus gets here.
Make comments on what you think that is.
I want to finish these two verses, close it out. There was another man in scripture that saw the end judgment coming near, and it was Daniel in Daniel 9. And it says that he was reading the book of Jeremiah, just like we've been talking about today. He was reading his scriptures, his Bible. And when he realized that judgment was coming, according to the Bible and what it said, when he saw the signs, it said that he dropped to his knees, rent his clothes, and started praying to God, asking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And that's what the Jews are going to be soon,
Yep.
because they don't accept God right now.
Not only that, Caleb, but you brought up that point. That's huge. I'm sorry, but this is really important. Not only that, but the wise men that we read about in the New Testament, they read that and
Yeah.
figured out exactly when Christ was going to be born and where, and we're there because of that. And I'm telling you, we can do it for his second coming too.
Yeah.
You can't get it down the day, but we know that time is coming the same way those wise men did. So my question is, are you a wise man?
Or
Yeah.
you're foolish would be the other
Yeah.
option. All right, so we're going to play one quick game here. We said we were going to do it, and then we'll wrap it up. It's going to be a blind ranking of the major political figures that have been involved to getting us to where Israel is today in this war. Okay, so all this
So you
means
know
is
how blind rankings
that's
work?
going to be a 1 through 5. I'm going to say a name, and you got to put them in a spot. You don't know who else I'm going to say, though. So that's what the game is.
I don't understand what you said, but okay.
I'm going to say a name. You rank them 1 through 5 of your favorite world leaders being 1, worst being 5, and you don't know who the full list is yet. So you
One's the best, five's
blind
the
ranking.
worst.
So I'll start off with, let's say the Ayatollah, the guy that was just the leader of Iran. He's dead now, but
5,
okay. Okay. Chuck Schumer.
5.5,
Okay, come on.
4,
4. Okay. How about Secretary of War Pete Hegseth?
1.
Okay. Really?
Out of the names you give me, you only give me 5 names, right?
You don't like it. He got you. a
No,
little
no,
bit.
that's all right.
There's only
That's all right.
5 names.
All right. JD Vance. Hey, I gave him a little trap right there based on everything we was talking
3.
about. All right, and Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He's not alive either.
All right, well,
2.
hey, he just put Joe Biden number 2. That's crazy.
No, we'll put JD in front of Joe. We
No,
have
it's too
to.
late.
No,
You
no,
can't- that's not how it works.
Change it.
So if we're gonna change it, then you just put Joe Biden
All right.
number 1. And so, I think what we're going to end up doing is we're probably going to make this into a 2-parter so that we can give you the last part and really discuss the kingdoms and everything. So it'll be 2 episodes, a little bit shorter, 40, 45 minutes, so that it's not one long one. And the second part will really hammer out those kingdoms in Daniel 7 and Revelation 13 and prove to you why we know what they represent today and really go in depth on that. It'll be a good passage, a good time to exposit those passages. I think, like I said, I think it'll be easy to kind of do that. So we'll be splitting this into 2. So this will be part 1, and then look out for part 2 where we're going to be discussing those. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Please comment if you have questions. We know we said a lot. If you want to fact check something that my dad or Caleb said, just comment and let us know, and we'll check it out. We'll fact check it. But no, just comment your thoughts, questions, what you liked. If you want us to talk more about this stuff, we could go. It would be, I know it sounds like it wouldn't be, but it would be easy for us to go in and improve the kingdoms and what they represent, because we would know exactly where we're going, and we'd just be able to exposit the passages. Today, we wanted it to be open and free flowing, but we could do that if you want to. So just comment, let us know. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already.